Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is TJAZZ of TJAZZ Art and Comics, and this is Thursday Night News. And we got some interesting news tonight. This lovely article is provided by none other than Geeks and Gamers, so shout out to Geeks and Gamers for this article. And it's about our favorite streaming service, Netflix. And I guess they had decided to use the manga, as it says right here, instead of the anime. So let's get right into it. Netflix One Piece adapts the manga, not the anime. Producers reveal why they ignored the anime, like they do everything else. However, if One Piece anime fans didn't see much of their favorite animated series in the live-action Netflix show, there's a reason for it. The Netflix One Piece series is an adaptation of the One Piece manga, not the anime. In a recent video, IGN spoke to the producers and showrunners of Netflix's One Piece, and the first topic they discussed was how the show adapts the anime, and the producers' answer may have been surprising to many fans. It doesn't. The initial question is, how they consumed One Piece before tackling the live-action adaptation in manga or anime. Unanimously, they answered that the One Piece manga was the source material for the show, with executive producer Becky Clemens saying there are a number of reasons they based the show on it. First, Clemens says that adapting a manga into a live-action show is difficult enough, but adding the step of an anime adaptation would mean the Netflix series was losing some beauty and purity of the manga. Like they use losing beauty and purity for something else, but I digress. This makes sense. An adaptation of an adaptation, as showrunner Joe Taratz, sorry if I mispronounced the name, puts it. Regardless of how faithful it is increasing the level of devotion from the source material, essentially becoming a copy of a copy rather than a copy of the original work. There is a measure of care in that, a desire to get the most faithful version of One Piece possible without being influenced by another adaptation. I don't really believe in that, but let's continue. The potential influence is another reason Clemens gives for the writers and producers of the show to choose to use the manga exclusively. Because anime is a moving image, Clemens explains. It may have more of an effect on our live-action shows. That's an interesting point in an adaptation of a manga or any comic book. Necessitates a certain amount of innovation and creativity because it's taking a static image and making it come to life on screen. However, an anime is a moving image as well, so there's less room for interpretation and oftentimes a desire to simply recreate the scene from the anime, losing the creative step because it's essentially already been done for you. Fair point, fair point. To facilitate this, Clemens says that the producers asked the actors auditioning for roles in the Netflix One Piece series only to read the manga and not to watch the anime if they were new to the franchise. However, she admits this was often impossible to do because many of the actors had already seen the anime, and the results was exactly what Clemens feared would happen if the Netflix series used the One Piece anime as a reference point. Some of the actors were performing a version of the anime character rather than attempting to make the part their own based on the manga. Ivan Stokes, a One Piece writer who had been promoted to co-showrunner for the currently filming the third season, after admitting that he'd never seen the anime, revealed something even more interesting. Tomorrow Studios, the production company behind the Netflix One Piece show, only has the rights to the manga, not the anime. I think that's due to Toei, but whatever. So the writers and producers could not use it as a reference point, and even if they wanted to do so. As such, and for the reasons Clemens, who is also the president of Tomorrow Studios, gave, Stokes didn't watch the anime, saying he didn't want to watch anything that would put something in his head about how the show could be performed. Finally, Joe's contracts admits to loving the anime but confirms that the writers and producers of the Netflix One Piece series consider the manga the show's true source material. He says that the Netflix show finds fun ways to nod to the anime, particularly the elements that are not in the manga and cannot be adapted. But overall, they put that aside and treat the show as the direct adaptation of the manga, as if the anime never existed. Now, that doesn't surprise me that they can't use the anime as the source material, because as we know, Toei has a very bad reputation of copywriting you if you're not careful, because Toei is very protective of the big two IPs that they have, and that is Dragon Ball and especially One Piece. So, hence why I do not cover those two unless I have to. Like, this is fair game, so don't worry about that. But my point is, I'm not surprised, and also that is heavily influenced by Ichio Oda, and Netflix knows that if they mess up this show, there's going to be a lot of angry fans. So I think that's why they were not allowed to touch the anime. But speaking of fans, ladies and gentlemen, the word is out there. A new Shonen Jump Ichi the Witch Volume 2 is now available in print and in digital. Now, as far as I heard, I know there was a Volume 1, and now I'm happy to see that there is a Volume 2. I have tried to get into Ichi digitally. It is a little wordy for me, so I may pick up this volume. I slowly want to get into it because it is a lot of reading. It does explain the power system a lot, but you gotta admit, these character designs are absolutely gorgeous. So if you're an Ichi fan right now, here in the West, this is a great day for you. And that's gonna do it for this night's edition of Thursday Night News. If you like my content and want to see more like this, hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think Toei's being too gung-ho about not using the anime adaptation? Are you also excited for Ichi the Witch Volume 2? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Now go be rebels and create.